humans born with rights. No matter what past they strive or what identity they molded into them as a person, their rights remain by their side, just like their recognition of existence within a society. People with the same identity orientation with some other will gather together, finding that they share the same familiarity and therefore share the same ideals and likings. They will form a group, they will form a circle, they will certainly form a party, but that doesn't strip them away to the fact that they are a part of the biggest cycle of social systems as a unity of humans. Yet ironically, as ethical, as well-minded this idea be, the fact is, there are always a certain party that just doesn't get the same amount of fairness, doesn't get the same amount of justice and equal amount of living privileges, not as a person with certain recognition of identity, but as a human. My name is Alkhansa Gassani from SMA Negeri 1 Sumbawa Besar. As the second speaker, would be proud to declare that this House believes that oppressed minority groups should consider pursuing violent resistance as opposed to peaceful protest when seeking reform. Allow me to declare and clarify that first, oppressed minority is a situation refers to discrimination or any form of injustice action that harms the rights and privileges of minority group by the majorities with bigger power and authority in certain social systems, while violent resistance, on the other hand, is a term used to describe a violent response by a certain individual or a party, commonly a victim, as an effort to achieve social change for the better of the victim's side. And lastly, reform is the social change the minorities seek in order to preserve or to protect the safety and to respect their rights and gain the privileges that they supposed to have to, just like the majorities. I would like to deliver as to why this House believes that oppressed minority groups should consider pursuing violent resistance as opposed to peaceful protest when seeking reform. That first of all, while peaceful protests sound ethically more beautiful, history has shown us that it doesn't actually have a major impact on the fight to eradicate the oppression of minority groups or nations. The minority groups had longed to believe that they one day would be able to gain their rights and protection as a part of civilizations. They know and they are aware that they are being called exactly so, often because of their differences in either their religious beliefs, ethnics, cultures, races, identity orientation, principles, etc., that divides them from other part of people within the society, which in some cases unaccepted by the majority or people with similar identities filling most of the population of a certain social system, who in result known to be the one in power and therefore made the rules. However, no matter how different each individual or party is with one another, still doesn't strip away the thought that everyone, regardless of their different identity, deserve their right as a human and get their protections both as an individual or as a unity of a party. Yet the existence of power abuse done by the majority erase the minority's rights as a part of social system, and these things remains unchanged. The minority groups had long tried their best by doing non-violent resistance such as public protests, rallying to the government or to the majority, yet had only gained small to no change. For example, allow us to see the couple history marks of minority oppression in Indonesia as a developing or growing country, which we know isn't an innocent country free from minority oppression. From one of the most tragic tragedy of May 1998 riot that cost many lives of Tionghoa ethnic and estimated to be 1,190 people in Jakarta died and 69 of them are heavily injured, to the latest news of the fate of Catholic people in Indonesia after being persecuted for doing the prayer of the Rosary. These are the evidence of raging violent oppressions done by the majority of Indonesian social system to the minorities and doesn't stop in just religious belief or ethnic identities as the cause of the raging movements. Second of all, since the flow of history written about the violent oppression on the minorities all over the years, the fact is, violent resistance is proven able to, at the very least, attract the majority's eyes and other parties outside the troubled social system to be more aware about the issue and the crisis the minority groups are going through by flicking their emotional response. Attracting the eyes of more people or factions will attract more people to seek the truth, and therefore will attract more people to speak up for the justice on the behalf of the minorities. So this result does not guarantee the minorities to be able to gain their rights. This violent resistance will open bigger opportunity to bigger chance of the desired goal of social changes the minorities wish to set. For example, the Christians in Gaza, so they had yet to gain their freedom, but their violent resistance against the Israel's army and movement creates a blast through the global news, especially in Indonesia's eyes back in 2016 and the whole white world's eyes starting from 2023. Attracting people to pay attention immediately and start their own action, both non-violent and violent resistance in stand for Gaza, like rioting and boycotting, to lower the chance of many companies to support Israel's genocide movement. For over the centuries, our civilization's growth and history across the world, the form of social changes done by necessary violence to be heard or listened not just in minority oppressions, but also in many cases of wars, rebellions, and even revolutions. And once again, so the action might sound unethical, violent resistance caused a bigger chance of change within a society or human social systems. Humans are known to learn from their mistakes and understand the patterns of their surroundings. So why bother keep repeating the same so-called peaceful method that gain no result in order to reach development or change? The action of violent resistance shows the trouble they're facing, the cause that they speak up for, and the social changes they're trying to fight for are essential issues. Therefore, it is a compelling matter to remind all parties to be more aware of what to actually pay attention to and to what the opposed minorities speak of, because there wouldn't be a violent resistance if only those horrifying issues could be resolved through peaceful protests. In conclusion, while peaceful protest remains a noble and ethical approach, the persistent and systemic oppression faced by minority groups often requires more drastic measures. Violent resistance, despite its ethical complexities, can be a powerful tool in drawing attention to injustice, prompting societal reflections, and ultimately catalyzing necessary reforms. Thank you for the attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.